What is going on, everyone? Peace and blessings. Welcome to another edition of the Full Court Press. Here we talk about the ladies, the WNBA, and everything that's going on in the WNBA. So, I am the coach, Coach Ed Gladney, along with my co-host, Nick of Sleeper Sports Media. Our other co-host Randy, he's down right now, but Randy, with nothing but love and respect for you, brother. We're always here for you. So, and the door is always open whenever you get back. So, but again, really appreciate everyone for tuning in, talking about the W and the ladies. So, but before we get into that, Nick, how you doing, brother? What's been
Doing
going on with you, man?
doing pretty good. Wrestling's been cooking, so I've been kind of focusing more on that than getting a chance to watch some of the Fever game. I know they just played Vegas
Mm-hmm.
the other night. I wasn't able to. Well, that was at 10 o'clock. I fell asleep at like 6, and when I woke up, I saw that they had 20,000 people at their game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was crazy. But yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just keeping up with what I can, and always seeing some news and covering everything that I can. So
Mm-hmm.
can't complain too much. How have you been? I know you
Well,
had
I'm
some
I'm I'm good. I'm just
time off.
glad to be back, glad to be home, and getting back into the swing of things with all the streaming. So it's first full week at it, but it's pretty cool. I'm glad to be back, man. So thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And who do we have in the chat? You got Daniel Berry. So what's up, Daniel? Thanks for always supporting, man. Really appreciate. Now, also everyone, if you're new to the program, do us a big favor. It's free for you guys. It really helps us out. Hit that like button, man. Hit the like button on all the channels, on Nick's channel, on Randy's channel, and on Coach Ed's channel. It really helps us out, gets it out into the algorithm, so that way we can continue to grow this channel and bring you the great content that you guys love. Also, if you're new to all our channels, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification. You're always going to know when we post new content, whether it's the W or anything else, wrestling with Nick, among other things, me, many different sports, football, basketball, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification, and always share on all social media platforms, man. Let's get it out there. It doesn't matter if it's YouTube, Twitter, X, however you categorize it, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, man. Just go ahead and help us out, and put it out there. We really appreciate it. And we thank you guys because, again, this is a family thing. We can't do this without you guys, but, we just do this because we love it, man. So, but we're going to go ahead and get into it. The first subject we're going to talk about is our power rankings. So, with the power rankings, we've taken a look at the league's rankings, how they have the standings. We're just going to go down and basically touch on what the league has and give you our touch. In terms of the top three, four, I mean, the league has the New York Liberty at one. They're 17-3 overall. They're 9-1. They have not updated this. They actually should be 10-1, and I think they're 18-3 with their last win. But Connecticut is 15-4, 6-4 over the last 10. Minnesota is 14-5, 7-3 over the last 10. Seattle is 13-6, and 7-3 over their last 10. So in those top four, in Vegas, sorry, top five. Vegas is 11-6, 6-4 over the last 5 games. Me personally, I don't have a problem with the way that's ranked. I kind of agree with that. If you want to argue Vegas because now they have Chelsea back and they're starting to get into a swing of things, start trying to get in the groove. I get it, but Seattle. When you look at the last 10, Seattle's 7-3 while Vegas is 6-4. So I don't have an issue with that. Again, I don't think they updated because Minnesota just lost to New York. That's why I'm looking at this, and maybe you might will say with Seattle you can drop down, but personally, I'm fine with the way it is right now. But what about you, Nick? How do you see it? Or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. The everything, the the rankings for the standings for the like regular season in the WNBA, definitely just it's. I wish they would update it more frequently so it shows
Mm-hmm.
the actual numbers, and win loss and everything like that. I know last week whenever I covered the power rankings and everything like that, I was using the ESPN and
Okay.
their power rankings. So Minnesota and New York flip flopping from from when with the Commissioner's Cup final, and then
Mm-hmm.
again going into this week and everything like that. Those two being up there at 1 and 2. Either way, I love that. I do like that Vegas has turned it back around. They were losing on a losing streak, or
Mm-hmm.
losing more than what they were winning. So they're them getting back up to what ESPN says at at 3. Um, I like that. And then Seattle and Connecticut, I think they are good at 4 and 5. You could flip any one of those three teams. And then my Indiana Fever being at 6, I like that they're jumping back up, even with them going on a couple games where they were losing. But they just, I mean, I wish they would have played better in Vegas. I didn't get to see it, but I
Mm-hmm.
saw that they did. They lost to Vegas again. They did get the win over out in Phoenix with the first matchup of Caitlin and Tarasi.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that was fun. That was pretty cool. And then the bottom four, the Dream, Sky, and uh, Washington, and then Dallas. Dallas has
Mm.
just been on a has been doing really bad, and it sucks because I mean I am a Maddie Segrist fan. I do like her since she went to Villanova. I know she's out with she had surgery on a finger, so she won't be back until after the All-Star break. But they've been falling off since she uh,
It's also
was going
Satsu
out.
Sabli because Satsu I think has played all or for most of the year, so I think
Yeah,
she's out also. So
yeah,
and that's a big factor. Her and Howard. I don't
yeah,
think Howard has played. I haven't really checked, but I don't think she's played that much this year. So their downfall is because their prime time players are out. So
yes,
other than what's it called Arike.
yeah,
They really don't have anyone else, like you said, Secrets. I think Sabali, Howard. I think Howard is out, and those are three starters right there. So, and that's a lot to make up. So,
yeah.
but
And
yeah.
then
So,
same thing with the Sparks. They are
hmm
Dallas and Los Angeles. They've been flip flopping. I think the last couple of weeks in the ESPN power rankings, at least with Cam Brink being out for
hmm
the rest of the season with that torn ACL. That I mean that sucks for anyone and any team trying to find their way and find everything like that. But with the Fever going from they were at 8 and 9 for a while when they were losing every what felt like every game or getting blown out or losing a
hmm
close game. Um, and then they found it. They won 4. Caitlin's been doing what Caitlin does. She's been, just doing everything. Their big three, they were working for a couple games in a row. And then we started having more issues again with Christy Wallace, and the chemistry showing that it's still not built yet there in Indiana with Caitlin giving the crazy passes that she dishes out, and Christy Wallace just having stone hands and not being able to catch, and make something of those passes. And I kept seeing like TikToks and reels and everything like that that said like, oh, Caitlin Clark leads the league in turnovers, and then it was like the turnovers, and it's like a montage of her teammates not being able to take her passes and make anything of them. So it's
hmm
the same thing like with Angel Reese and her, all the rebounds that she's getting, and people are saying, well, she just is getting her own shots. It's like 16% of her rebounds come from her own shots. So like
hmm
you can spin it however you want to spin it. But yeah, the
No.
power rankings as far as that, I mean, I don't have a major issue with any of
mm-mm.
them. So
No. So you made some good points about Indiana. So the one thing that I noticed in watching, well, you know what? Let's stay on track. I don't want to divert too much from it, so
Yeah,
we'll get to that. So,
yeah,
but yeah, the power rankings, you know, Dallas, LA at the bottom, like you said, yeah. Pretty much, and I just went through. I looked at all the ones I was looking at: ESPN, Bleacher Report, CBS Sports,
yeah.
and the WNBA. And actually, they all are aligned. So I guess they are up to date. I was wrong, so I apologize. So,
Yeah, no
but
problem. No problem.
the rankings are pretty much, and the standings are all there. So I'm cool with the way the power rankings are. I kind of agree with that. And this is for the first half of the season anyway. So you're pretty
Yep.
much a 40-game season, and pretty much everyone is close to 20. So and that this is also letting me know in the long run what I think is going to happen in terms of positioning, because it's going to be the top 8 that make the playoffs. So when you get down to 6, 7, and 8, I do think it's going to come down to Phoenix, Atlanta, Chicago, and Indiana. Those 4 teams are going to be fighting for those last few spots, literally last 2 spots, 2, 3 spots. So, Phoenix, they're definitely going to have to do better because they're playing 500 ball. Even with some all-star caliber players in Kalia Copper, Donna Taurasi, and Brittany Griner, but you're at 500, ball. That you definitely, if you want to crack that top and make a run, you're definitely going to have to step it up. And Diana, I mean, is this going to be her last leg? Is this going to be her last hurrah? So, but
Yeah,
in terms of the power rankings, yeah, I'm with you. I think everything is fine, in terms of that. It aligns for the most part the way the league has it. So, 1 or 2 you might want to argue in terms of flip flopping, but for the most part, the standings and the power rankings, to me, the way I look at it, they're all aligned. So, and what is everyone in the chat? If you guys have any thoughts, let us know. Make sure you guys, communicate with us. Let us know what you're thinking. I mean, yes, we appreciate you guys watching, but let's talk together about the W. So, and what's up to the point guard of the Hardcore Sports Network, Mitch. Thanks for tapping in. Hope you have a great show with whatever you're doing. So, but again, that's the power rankings right now. So, next we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to the scoring in upcoming games. What's been going on in the W. So, I had the scores. Here we go. And I'm going to actually start. You did last Thursday, so I'll start from Friday the 28th. You had 2 games. You had the Atlanta Dream defeat the Connecticut Sun 78-74, and then you had the Mercury completely dominate the Sparks 92-78. So in those games, you had Alicia Gray lead the Dream with 17 points, and Alyssa Thomas 14 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. So she led Connecticut. And as far as the Sparks, Dearica Hamby continue to play the way she is, even though the team is shorthanded, 29.7 rebounds. But then you have Brittany Griner with a double of 18 points and 11 rebounds. Now, were you able to check out any of those games?
I was watching here and there, and then just clips that pop up on Twitter, everything, and
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. So, like I said, Friday especially, SmackDown has been
Got
crazy.
you.
So my wrestling has
Got you.
jumped
No
ahead.
problem.
Just so just because it's gotten tougher and tougher to try and watch these the fever games and everything like that. So just
Okay. Got you.
watching what I can. But Hainbury, like you said, she the 29 points definitely
Mm-hmm.
Hambry. I've been voting for her for the All-Star games and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
She did make it, but we'll get into the full roster here in a minute. But
Okay, well, now Saturday, the 29th, you had the Vegas Aces take on the Mystic, and they took care of business 88-77. Chelsea
yep,
Gray led the way with 22 points, while Steph Dawson, some people sleep on her, but she's always a quality player, 23.7 rebounds. Now, they really don't have their talent there, so, that's a big thing. But for Steph to put up 23 points, that also lets you know how they're scraping the bottom of the barrel there in Washington. And then you had the Seattle Storm totally dominate the Dallas Wings 97-76. Enrique Ogunwale, 24 points, 4 steals. Joel Lloyd, 30 points. I mean, what can you say? I mean, they're both elite players in this league. So, you wish the Dallas was able to put on a better show, but if you just want to watch the prime time players, they definitely did their thing. So, were you able to catch either one of those games, or you were busy on Saturday?
Yeah, I saw more like clips and highlights from the Dallas and Seattle game just because
Mm-hmm.
I more so on Instagram, and then with the Vegas, I saw a little bit of it from Twitter just because Kate
Mm-hmm.
Martin and Vegas is like my secondary team, I would say. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's funny because that was in Washington, so that would have been on regular TV for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I should have been I, the 29th. I think I was doing what did we have Saturday? I think that was it wasn't WWE. What there was UFC. I was doing UFC on the
Gotcha.
29th. So that was
Okay.
the primary of my day. Did a stream for
Gotcha.
UFC 303, which was crazy. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Okay, now Sunday, we had 3 games. You had the Liberty defeat the Atlanta Dream 81-75. I saw that game. It was up and down. It had me in a twist a little bit. Alicia Gray, 24 points for Atlanta. Brianna Stewart, 22 points, 12 rebounds. So she stepped up and she kind of really forced the narrative, because Atlanta was really testing the Liberty. Then you had the Lynx take on the Sky. That was a great game. I did tap in. The last two, I really were tapped into both of them. The Lynx beat the Sky 70-62. Nafisi Collar, 13 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and Lindsay Allen, 13 points and 6 rebounds and 7 assists for Chicago. And of course, our girl Angel Reese, another double double,
Yep.
continues to be a monster. Putting up the double doubles. But again, that was a game. I thought the Sky were in position to close it out, and Lynx showed their championship wear. So, and then the final game, because both of those games were on at the same time, and there were quite a few of us who were saying they should have put these separately or staggered, so people could watch both. But that's
Yeah.
where the Fever and the Mercury tuned in. That drew 1.9 million views. And of course, most people wanted to see because of Caitlin going up against Diana Taurasi. But the
Yep.
Fever won. I mean, that was a great win for the Fever, 88-82. Caitlin, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 12 assists, and Brittany Griner, 24 points, 6 rebounds. And the one thing I will say in terms of watching that game, in terms of the Fever, seen an improved play between Caitlin and Aaliyah Boston.
Yes.
Early in the season, it just seemed like they were trying to figure it out, but Caitlin has settled in. She's not forcing the narrative as much, and she's trusting, her teammates. And you also can't forget what's what's your let me look at the box score. I forgot her name already. She's a third player on your team. Number 3 player. Boston Kelsey
Kelsey Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Kelsey
Yeah.
Mitchell. Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, Kelsey. Because Kelsey, what did she play? She played 21 minutes, and she ended up with 16 points. She was plus 11 in the plus minus. So she had a good game. Overall. I mean, she's phenomenal, especially with attacking off of with the left-handed drive and then just scoop and lay up. I mean,
Yep.
it's just amazing. But and then afterwards, Diana Taurasi, in terms of giving respect to Caitlin, which we all knew, what it's about. She's not trying to dog Caitlin, but she's trying to prepare her for the wear and tear of the WNBA. But it was a great Sunday in terms of basketball in the WNBA. So, were you able to catch any of those games?
Yep. I watched the first half of the Fever and Mercury game, and then after
Mm-hmm.
that, I got ready to. I was getting other stuff ready, and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Forbidden Door was Sunday, so I was resting up because that was a long night of wrestling. It was a big card, but I did see the first half. There was like, and then also we had I had family over, so I was outside and then
Mm-hmm.
coming back in and checking and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Mm-hmm.
like a couple times where it was just, uh, I mean, at first it was Caitlyn and Brittany and Deanna. They all had a moment
Mm-hmm.
before the game, and then I saw every once when I came back in, it seemed like the play was stopped and they were reviewing for either a technical foul or
Mm-hmm.
something. And there was a lot of like the contact was over probably over the top, and it was a weird. And then that's when I had turned it off or went back outside. And then when I checked later again, I saw they won by 6. And I saw on Twitter the Fever, the way they tweeted it and said like the Fever win. They said reality check or something like that. They took the quote that Tarazi said about Caitlyn.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of stirring that pot, which I did like. And then, but yeah, so I was happy they got the win. I was happy that they got it's being shown now, and it was shown the other night whenever Jackie Gray stopped and checked to see if Caitlyn was okay whenever she went to the floor and tied her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's being shown that the veterans of this league are finally, they've gotten over that part where like, okay, she has to come in and earn the respect and everything like that. So I'm happy that we're moved along past that and ready to just see the rest of this year play out, and then go into the All-Star break, go see the Olympics and everything like that, and then
Mm-hmm.
get back to it.
No, I'm with you there. So, but again, like I said, Sunday was some great basketball, so I really appreciate it. So, Monday, the first, you had the Connecticut Sun travel out to Phoenix. They defeated the Mercury 83-72. Alyssa Thomas, 10 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. Natasha Cloud for Phoenix, 18 points, 10 assists. So, I mean, no matter what, she's a good fit over there. Feisty veteran point guard, well traveled, has definitely been around the circle, but, I do like her fit over there. And then you had the Storm taking on the Wing again, defeating the Wing 95-71. Arike, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. And then Joel Lloyd, 26 points, 3 rebounds. So pretty much what I would have expected with both of those games there. So,
Yep.
And then Tuesday, we have, come on, the big game, the Lynx and the Liberty. The Liberty finally got the monkey off their back because the Lynx had won the first 2 games, one of those in the Commissioners Cup championship, but the Liberty won 76-67. Tight game, going back and forth. Lynx were up at one point. Liberty, it came back and took control, and Minnesota was led by Nafisa Collar, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. But John Cole Jones definitely stepped up in this game because the first 2 games, she really was non-existent. I think combined in the two games, she scored 7 points. Well, this one, she scored 21 points and 12 rebounds. So she was a big presence all over the place, even on the defensive end of the ball. And the Liberty definitely need her to play like that to have a chance to make it all the way and bring home a championship. Then you had the Sky take on the Dream, where the Sky ended up defeating the Dream 85-77. Kennedy Carter, 26 points, leading Chicago. And then Tina Charles, the old wily veteran, 19 points, 14 rebounds um, for Atlanta. When I take a look at the box score, I want to look at Angel's stat line. Angel Ruiz, 36 points, 5 for 12 overall. She had 19 rebounds. This is the game I was thinking about. 19 rebounds, 12 points, and she was a plus 10 and plus minus. So, I mean, she with her and Cardoso. Cardoso had 10 rebounds too. So, and they're starting to get comfortable, on that side of the ball, playing with each other, knowing when to, attack the boards and when to allow the other to take control and get the rebound. So that was a big win for the Sky there. You had the Fever take on the Aces. That was another big game. You ended up with 20,000 fans in attendance. I think that was the third most, if I'm not mistaken, in league history to see a
Yeah.
WNBA game. So
Yep.
again, the fans are turning out to not only see the champs, but also to check out Caitlin Clark. But the Aces won 88-69. In the first half, it was close. I mean, it was a good game, but the Aces, hey, they showed why they're the champs. Now, Aaliyah Boston's stat line was 18 points, 11 rebounds, and then Kelsey Plum, I mean, she was on fire. 34.6 rebounds, man. It just seemed like every time I turned around, there she was. Along with the other notables with the Aces. And then the last game was the Mystics and the Sparks, where the Mystics went to LA and they came away with a 2-point win over the Sparks, 82-80. You had Hines Allen leading the Mystics, 18.7 rebounds, and Hamby, 16 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. So pretty steady there in those games there. So did you see any of those games, or what stood out to you in terms of those games?
Yeah, I mean it was Angel continuing her streak of double doubles for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Carter and her the big game she had, and then Cardoso, their big three, just doing what they got to do. And then of course it was the Vegas and Fever game. This was the one that was moved from the Michelob Ultra Arena where they usually
Mm-hmm.
play 12,000 seats over to the T-Mobile Arena, and they get 20,000 366, which it was only 308 short of the record that was set in
Mm-hmm.
1999 between the Mystics and the Rockers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, it was the highest attended game in 20 something years. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, just like I said, Caitlin goes to the floor during a play, and then Jackie Young goes over and goes to tie her shoe to
Mm-hmm.
take a minute to make sure she's okay and whatnot. So that was big for me. Just seeing that the vets in this league are finally starting to be okay with Caitlin. I'm sure with Angel and all the other rookies that are shining out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that was the takeaway
Man
from
cave.
the first couple games for this week.
Exactly. So, and the last one we're going to talk about was yesterday. You had the Mercury defeat the Wings 104-96 in Dallas. Kalia Copper led the way for the Mercury with 34 points. And I guess Natasha Howard is back. 36 points, 11 rebounds. So she put up her numbers. So, and that's important to the long-term viability of Dallas. So, hopefully, you start to see a little turnaround, especially with Natasha. I remember her with the Liberty, so she's definitely a baller, definitely a good defensive player. So she's a great asset to them, and hopefully, it'll help turn them around. Now, going forward, you have 2 games tonight. They're both on Prime, so if you wanted to see it, 8 o'clock. It's a big game. You have the Connecticut Suns at the Minnesota Lynx. And then the late game is the Mystics are at the Aces. So I'm really intrigued with the 8 o'clock game because this is going to be positioning also for the second and third spot within the league overall. So, and they're both defensive minded teams. The Lynx are number 1, and I think the Sun are number 2 or 3. So, I'm expecting a physical, tough minded type of a game between those two. So, definitely going to be, once we're done here and we're clear, then I'm going to be tapped in to watch that game there. So, but what about you? Are you intrigued in any game? Are you going to be checking out any of those?
Yeah, the Vegas Aces, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, and then like you said, but both these games are pretty big games. So just from um, my schedule tomorrow, I'm working pretty early, so I will probably be going to sleep here. Um, Probably short, definitely won't be able to stay up and watch the whole game. Might try to
Mm-hmm.
watch a little bit of it, but just I'll catch highlights of it and everything like that. So I'm sure I'll seeing it on Twitter in the morning whenever I'm getting up, getting ready to go. So, but yeah, big time weekend to play on the 4th of July for the WNBA. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Or on Prime exclusively, so it's pretty cool.
Tomorrow you have 3 games. You have the Dream traveling to Dallas to take on the Wings. That's at 7:30. All 3 games are also on Ion, so you can always check them out. You
Yep.
have late at 10 o'clock, both 2 10 o'clock games. You have the Aces at the Sparks in LA, and then the Sky at the Storm. I'm intrigued with that one, so more than likely I'll be tapped in on that tomorrow night to see the Sky and the Storm, and see how that goes. So, what about you? Any games you're going to be able to? Oh no, you wrestling, so you're not going to be able to
Yep.
see that
Yep.
tomorrow. So,
Yep. Might watch a little bit of the 7:30 game, might have that on the side. I will be doing the watch long for SmackDown with Earl tomorrow, and then we're debuting a new post show for SmackDown on Friday, so that'll be at 10:20, and then that'll
mm-hmm.
go for however long it goes, and then after that, if the games are still on, I might check it, catch the end of it, or just wait for the highlights to come out on the app or something. So, or
Gotcha.
again, checking Twitter constantly, and then yeah.
Saturday, you have a big game. You have the Liberty going out to Indiana to take on the Fever. That's a 1 o'clock start on Saturday on CBS. So I'll tap in for the first half before my show on Saturday. And then the late game, you have the Mystic traveling to Minnesota. I don't know what it is, MNMT. I don't know what station that is. That's the first time I've heard of it. But you can also see it on Gamecast. So, there's ways you can see it. So are you going to be able to tap into the Liberty and the Fever game?
Yeah, I will. I'm doing an interview or a show with Hunter, who's also in the network. And then before we're doing that before Money in the Bank. So hopefully we can do that early Saturday morning. So I can catch that game. And then Money in the Bank is at 7. So I will be able to watch that entire game if we're not doing the show. But I'll have it up and we'll be looking.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely one that they gotta come into, and they gotta
Mm-hmm.
start getting some wins as we head into the long break, and just stay as close to 500 as they can, stay right around that 8 spot, because 7, 8, 6 right now. So I just want to see them keep playing well and just take the break and develop the chemistry, and then come back and really get me excited to watch the games going down the stretch.
All right, Sunday, you have 4 games. You have the Atlanta Dream at the Connecticut Sun, the Dallas Wings at the Aces, the Sky at the Storm, and the Mercury at the Sparks. The Dream and the Suns at 1 o'clock. The Aces and the Wings are at 3:30. That's on ESPN. The Sky and the Storm are at 6 o'clock, and the Mercury and the Sparks are at 7. So I know if you have time, you'll probably check out the Aces and the Wings, especially since it's on ESPN. So. Um,
Absolutely. Yep.
so I'll probably tap in a little bit. I want to see if I can find the Storm in the Sky, but again, I got the other early version. So looks like there's no games on Monday. So then we go to Tuesday, 1 game. The Lynx at the Sparks. That's a 10 o'clock tip off. So those of you who want to watch it, you can definitely tap into that. And then next Wednesday, come on, here we go. We have a full load. You have the Liberty at the Sun on Wednesday, 11 a.m. tip off. So it's going to be a big game. I know I'll be tapped into that one on a Wednesday, 11 o'clock. So you have the Mystic at the Fever. That's going to be on NBA TV, 12 o'clock tip off. You have the
Okay.
Dream at the Sky, 12 o'clock tip off. You have the Aces at the Storm, 3 o'clock tip off. And then the Wings at the Mercury at 3:30 p.m. tip off. So the only one that shows a TV sign is the Mystic and the Fever, which I kind of figured. I know the Sun Liberty in the tri-state, I'll be able to see it because I know it'll be on the local broadcast here. So, but it's going to be a busy day there. So, that's 10 teams playing in 5 games. So, I'll be dialed into that Liberty Sun. And then if I can, I'll tap in periodically to see how the Fever are doing. But I'm going to later on try and see if I can find that Aces Storm game. I definitely want to see that one. So that at 3:30 p.m. But what about you? What's your thoughts?
Yeah. My work schedule has changed a little bit, so I will probably be at work during the Fever
Early
and
parts. Mm-hmm.
the Fever game. So I will either just have it up on my TV and just hit pause right as it starts, or just
Mm-hmm.
be able to watch it later, watch it back, or just see it on Twitter and then see the breakdown of whatever I see on Twitter is kind of whatever I see on Twitter. But I'm excited for that one. Yeah, that's a 10 teams playing.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a fun day of long day of fun and action, and as we get into the All Star weekend.
All right. So, that's going to close out that segment in terms of the scoring in upcoming games. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to be moving on to the a mid-season report card that I saw on ESPN. So, I found it very interesting in terms of the grading with the teams there. So, but now we pretty much can know how the grading is going to go, but I'm going to start from the bottom this one since we did the power rankings the other way. So
Yep.
it starts with the Dallas Wings, and it's actually giving them an F. That surprised me, an F. If you had said a D minus, I would have said okay, but to give them an F, I mean, Satu Sabali, she's out until after the Olympics. Natasha Howard is just coming back, missed 8 games, so she's back. Maddie Seacrest is out with a broken finger. It's like, why would you give them an F? For me, it's like,
Yeah.
injuries are a big thing, so I at least would have gave them a D. But hey, ESPN said they're giving them an F. And I think probably part of that is because they were in the Final Four last year, so you were expecting more. But like I said, injuries. I mean, F, that's harsh for me. I mean, what's your
Yeah.
thoughts about that?
Yeah, I agree. Just how you said it, explained it. I'm on the same thought train, and an F is tough, especially because of the injury. You just had a player come back, and then 2, 3 go out for injuries. Seems like they both came just out of nowhere, and then just out immediately, and didn't have a chance to,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they can come back sooner before the All-Star break or anything like that. But it's going to be a tough. It obviously they're looking at a tough stretch going into the break, and without their 2 or 3 players. So that one is tough for me as well. I would
Mm-hmm.
go D minus, D, just as you said.
Mm-hmm. Next up is the Dallas Sparks. They gave them a D minus. And you know what? I do understand that they're a young team. Other than De'Erica Hamby, they're pretty much young. Cameron Brink, you talked about it earlier. She's out.
Yep.
Rikia Jackson, the number 4 pick overall. She's the only other one or in double figures at 10.2 points per game. I was expecting more out of their center, Lee Yuri. I mean, she's given them 3.6 rebounds per game. But it's a young team. Lexi Brown, they're saying she's out indefinitely with Crohn's disease. So the D minus, I get. Other than giving them an F completely, I probably would have said a D because, like I said, they're a young team, and then Cameron Brink being out, and now reading that Lexi Brown is also out. So maybe I'm being a little bit too friendly, but I do take that into consideration. I mean, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm right there with you again. It's like, if you're gonna give the Sparks, who are young, who are the same thing, the injury bug is out there. Then why not do the same thing for the Wings? So I'm right
Mm-hmm.
there with you. D minus, for
Mm-hmm.
both teams. It's going to be tough,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, that the Wings, having been in the Final Four last year, I can see why that might might have pushed it down further to an F.
Mm-hmm.
But Cam Brink, and then Jackson being 2 and 4, and them,
Mm-hmm.
one of them is being active and helping Henry. It
Mm-hmm.
sucks, and but yeah, I'm right there with you for both those teams being harshly, or one being fair and even, and then the other one being kind of harsh.
Next up, we have Washington at a D. I agree with that totally. I mean, Elena Deladon, she isn't playing this year. Sasha Cloud, who actually left and went over to Phoenix. You have a young team. Aaliyah Edwards is leading the way over there. Also injuries with Brittany Sykes and Shakira Austin. I mean, again, she's been limited in games. So um, to me, a D is just about right, in terms of them. It's still, they're still developing and working their way back. And you know what? Who knows what the future holds? But yeah, D is about right in terms of their overall play. So, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, with the start that they had, and where they're at now, not that they're, it's much better with the, what play they've been putting out, but where they started, and whatever it was, yeah, a D is definitely fair for sure.
Phoenix, they have at a C minus, and to be honest with you, I probably would have said a D. I'm not gonna lie to you, or a D plus. When you think about Kalia Copper, Diana Taurasi, and Brittany Griner, the expectations were now. Brittany Griner missed the start of the season with an injury, so I get it. But here in the reading, it says they have been the league's biggest enigma in 2024, beating 4 of the top 5 teams in the standing, but also losing to 2 of the bottom 4. That's big right there. You're
Yeah.
telling me you can play with the top teams, but then again, you're playing down to your competition,
Yep.
and you just barely beat Dallas 104-96. Otherwise, you know what? They said they would have gave them a D. I'm giving them a D right off the bat because I'm expecting more out of them. So, and again, like I said, Griner, Copper, Tarasi. You also have Natasha Cloud. I mean, it's like you have the makings of a very good squad, and you're not performing. You're playing 500 ball. No, you should be doing a whole lot better. So for me, it's a D.
Yeah. I mean, every time I do check and see, it seems like either if I'm checking in and seeing their games, they're either doing what you said, winning and hanging in there with, the top teams of the league, and then I
Mm-hmm.
check in again and they're losing games they shouldn't, or they're losing, a close game, or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely it's, if you're going to be wishy-washy, and play down to opponents that you shouldn't be playing down to, because everyone, that those teams are full of professionals, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. I see the same thing with the Steelers and so many other teams, that like you go out there and they win games where they shouldn't win, or they win games they should win by like just barely, or they just flat out go out there and they play down to the opponent and then they lose. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, right there with you.
And next up in the C, you have both Atlanta Dream and the Indiana Fever. The Dream, I agree with that. They also lost their lead player in Ryan Howard. She hasn't played since the middle of June. So, yes, they have Alicia Gray, Tina Charles are there doing, their thing to help. So they're right in the middle of the pack. So I don't have an issue with that. Indiana started out 1-8, but now they're 8-13. So that's telling you they're playing seven. They've been 7-5 over those 12 games. You have 3 players who are in the All Star game, and Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Caitlin Clark. So and they're starting to fine tune. So they're starting to turn around. So I agree with that in terms of their grades, both of them. So a C is perfectly fine.
Yeah. As much as I would have loved to see them be, have a better start and to be, higher than that. The Fever, yeah, I mean, a C is definitely fair, because they started out poor, they've kind of turned it, and there's still issues there to say like at any time they could go and lose, 6 or 7 in a row again, and it just The chemistry issues are still there. Coaching has been a big thing, a big question mark to me, with Christy Sides going out there and saying one thing, saying that Caitlin needs to take X amount of shots per game, and then the game against Chicago, the last 3 minutes of the game, doesn't draw up a single play for Caitlin or doesn't put the ball in her hands. They go on to lose by one. So it's like, take care of the coaching. I know Christy Sides is her second year. She's had no head coaching experience, going back to whenever she coached in high school. So it's like she does have like leeway to figure it out, for sure. But like, Christy Wallace just not making plays that need to be made. They went and waived one of their draft picks from later in the draft, and everyone was like questioning that.
Mm-hmm.
And how Christy Wallace is still starting, and still, making the plays that she is making, which are, just or that she's not making with, the passes from Caitlin, and, leading to turnovers and just everything like that, or missing shots, or, whatever it is. So, yeah, C is fair for both, definitely.
All right, next up, you have the Chicago Sky. They give them a C plus. And the actual reading is the Sky came close to being in the B grade despite their 7-11 record. That's because many assumed it was a rebuilding year in Chicago and they would be in last place, but they're not. Coach Teaspoon, she's done a great job there so far. Angel Reese, what can you say? I mean, she's the WNBA's leading rebound and strong candidate for Rookie of the Year. Kennedy Carter, despite the issue with Caitlin Clark, she has been playing phenomenally. Maureen Mabry has been doing phenomenal whenever she has a chance. So I kind of get where they're going. C plus B minus. I don't have an issue with that. That was fine. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know much going into or much about like last year where they were at. So them saying it's rebuilding, I don't know much about that. I mean, I guess can see how it would be. But from them getting Angel Reese and Cardoso, and just seeing Mainbury and how she plays, and then even Carter with seeing that she's had issues with previous teams before, and that no one ever, that the big thing that was going around was no one even knew who you were until you did this to Caitlin, and that's the only reason people know. And now she's taking that and she's running with it and having great games. So I mean, I would, yeah, C C minus, or C plus B minus would definitely be fair. Yeah, yeah. I think you're muted.
Sorry about that, everyone.
No
Yeah, I
problem.
was muted.
Yeah.
Next up is the Las Vegas Aces. They gave them a B, and short version it says the Aces missed Chelsea Gray. I talked about that earlier, and that's the fact of the matter.
Yep.
Yeah, her being out, recovering from the injury last year, it really affected their play. And in spite of that, they're 11-6, and they're still in tops in the league. So Chelsea Gray is going to help them really turn around in the second half of the season. So yeah, I'm fine. You have Audra Wilson, who to me is the front runner for MVP. Kate Martin has been a surprise in many eyes, especially with what she's doing to help this team. So I'm all fine with a B. I could even say, if you want to give them a B plus, probably because you're being more sympathetic, but B is fine with me. So, your thoughts, man, Nick.
Yeah. I've watched a little bit here and there, and just from what I've seen, like Kate going there whenever she just showed up to the draft just to support Caitlin. She wasn't planning on being drafted. She's said it time and time again. She didn't even know that she would be here, and now her and Caitlin get to live out their dreams and everything like that. And she hasn't taken a second to waste any opportunity that she gets for playing time, coming in off the bench, getting a start here and there, whatever. And she's become a fan favorite, and I mean, got to be up in the conversation for sixth woman of the year, just from coming off the bench or just doing whatever she can to help the team win. So I'm very excited to see how they go after the break, and see what they can do.
Next up, you have the Seattle Storm at a B plus, and yeah, I agree with that. That's perfectly fine. You have new players in Neka hey, Ogumwai. I can't say her name for the
Yeah.
life of me.
Yeah.
Skylar Digger Smith, who are new. You have Jewel Lloyd, Ezzy Megabor, who's probably the biggest um, person who I felt should have been on the All Star. I mean, they have some talent there, and they're right there in the fourth spot, fighting for one of the top positions in the league. B plus is just about right for them for me. So, especially after last year, they went 11-29. They definitely turned around. So, B plus is fine in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, from what, like I said, they're another team where it's like whenever I'm like kind of watching them, they
Hmm.
were like either just barely losing, the close games and everything like that, or they were, they were winning big. I know they had a big stretch of home games, so I know that that probably helps. Nika finally gets her way into playing and made her debut against the Fever, I think, or maybe that Cardoso and her both did, or she
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
shortly after that, something like that. So it's cool to see her. She's Nika Jackson, Angel Reese, and I believe Cardoso are going to be featured in the new documentary that they have coming out, or the first episode might already be out in the first year. So it shows that there's a vast, like, different, teams can have these different players, from later in the draft or just lower than, number one or number two overall. And that they can still shine. So yeah, I like the Storm getting that grade.
Okay, next up, as a A minus, you actually have the Connecticut Sun. They started out 13-11. They're struggling, if you want to say that, going 2-3 the last 5 games. They're a championship contender team. I mean, you have Dewana Bonner, you have Tom is Dejanay Carrington, man. That girl is phenomenal defensively, man, and she's a great spark. Tyisha Harris, battling over there. Says that she's competing for the most improved player. So I mean, I get it in terms of A minus. Me, it's an A. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're, yes, they've struggled, but every team is going to struggle. So they should be an A, in my eyes. I mean, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Tommy here. Wilson is amazing. Clark will dominate the next few years. That's the hope as a Fever fan. So, but yeah, I mean, they started out 9-0, I think, which was the highest,
Mm-hmm.
the highest that anyone has started out in X amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
And then now ending up 13-7, I think you said. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just I could agree A minus, either one. Just yeah, I don't have an issue with what you said or where they're at from ESPN or anything like that. So
Next up, you have the Lynx. They're at an A, leading the way with, Commissioner's Cup MVP Nafisa Collier. Alana Smith has shown, great improvement this year. Kayla McBride, around, a player and a great asset for that organization. There was one other player. She's a 3-point threat. I mean, and A is fine, and I agree with that, especially because you also haven't had Damian Miller, and then Juhas has been out for a while, and she's working her way back, and those are their two young first round draft picks from last year. So I'm fine with an A. They're the top defensive team in the league. They're fighting for one of the top spots. They won the Commissioner's Cup. So especially in New York. So I'm fine with that there. So your thoughts.
yeah, I mean everything. I fully agree with everything that you said, and knowing that I would say I would keep the Liberty and Minnesota flip flop either way, A plus and A, one and two. Just you can flip flop either one of those two. If not, have them both at an A plus and A. and then one for the West and one for the East. And I know that's not how they just do it, 1 to 12. But yeah, I mean, either one of these two teams you can flip flop, given that they were the finals for the Commissioner's Cup, and then just the games that they've been having back and forth. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any issues with it either.
Finally, to round it out is the Liberty. They say A+. It says Liberty haven't been perfect, but they've been pretty darn good. They made the Commissioner's Cup final, losing to Minnesota. They also have gone 1-1 versus the Link in the regular season. New York is 9-1 in the past 10, not counting the Commissioner's Cup, and ranks second in the league in scoring at 87.2, first in rebounds at 36.3, and three-pointers at 10.5 per game. They've struggled with three-pointers to start this season. I always had questions as far as their three-point defensive rotation. I'm not giving them an A+. I know that's my squad, but I'm not giving them an A+. I mean, they're not perfect. For me, you just can't do that. If you want to give them an A, like you said, with Minnesota, I'm fine with that. But an A+, that's hard for me. That's hard for me to do, even though they're 9-1 over the last 10 games, the high scoring, the rebounding, I mean, Sabrina, UNESCO, tops in the league, Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones. I mean, you've missed Bernijah Laney for a while. Courtney Vandersloot was out. Naya Sably has been out for a long while right now. Yes, they've been getting improved play from their bench, especially the new players, but I can't give them an A+. I'm giving them an A. That's the one I just probably a lot of you guys are going to be surprised with me saying that.
Yeah. I mean, I said pretty much the same thing. You can flip flop, you can flip flop Minnesota, New York in pretty much any, rankings, any terms, letter grades or power rankings or, whatever it is. But, it's no question that both these two teams are, up there at 1 and 2, and it can be flip flopped from game to game, from week to week. And yes, I mean, I would say, like I said, A or A- for both of those two. An A+, yeah, is hard to give to any team really, unless they've showed every game they're besides like one or two off games or whatever it is. But when we did the play-by-play for the Liberty and Fever game, I mean, even you said like their defense was for threes was going to be a question going forward, and it turned out to be 100% right. So yeah, I don't have an issue with what you said, A or A- for Minnesota and New York. Flip flop one or the other, or just both at the same thing, at an A- or at an A.
All right, so that's going to close that out there in terms of the midseason grades via ESPN. You guys can check it out. If you have any thoughts, make sure you guys put it in the chat. Really appreciate it. To all you guys that are new tapping in, make sure you guys hit that like button. We really appreciate you guys. Subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network. Next Shift Randy, our brother who's out right now, Nick, as well as Coach Ed Gladney. Make sure our information is there. Just tap in. Give us a like, subscribe to us, hit the notifications so when we post new content, and help us out by sharing on all social media platforms. We love doing this in this way to help continue to grow, get more people involved into the discussion in terms of the WNBA, because there's a big passionate fan base out there. So, and again, thank you everyone for being here. So we're going to move on next to the next phase, which is the All-Star rosters, All-Star and also the USA national team in preparation for the Olympics. I'm going to talk about it in terms of the players that are on there. Now, I did mention a little bit earlier in terms of one player who I felt should have been on there, Izzy Megabor from Seattle. Definitely believe she should be on there. Now, there's one thing that I always say, though. If you believe should be on there, then who you're going to take off. So, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down Team WNBA, and we'll talk a little bit about it. On Team WNBA, and just for you, those of you who don't know, the Team WNBA is the all-star team for the WNBA. They're actually playing the USA team as they prepare for the Olympics. So that's why you're probably going to be surprised in not hearing certain names on the WNBA All-Star team. They really are all-stars. It's just that, you know what, we're preparing them to go play internationally, and these ladies are also stepping in as far as all-stars. But on the WNBA team, you got Dewana Bonner from Connecticut, Aaliyah Boston from Indiana, Caitlin Clark from Indiana, Alicia Gray from Atlanta, De'Erica Hamby from the Los Angeles Sparks, Brianna Jones from the Connecticut Sun, Jonquel Jones from the Liberty, Kayla McBride from the Lynx, Kelsey Mitchell from the Fever, Enrique Oguale from the Dallas Wings, Neka Ogwumuke. Oh my God, I'm giving up, man. From the Seattle Storm, and Angel Reese from the Sky. Now you do have two rookies on there in Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. You also have the Rookie of the Year last year from Aaliyah Boston. Now I made the statement that if I'm going to put Izzy on, who am I taking off? And to be honest with you, I'm taking off Brianna Jones. I mean, I made a debate between Brianna Jones and Aaliyah Boston because Aaliyah Boston to start the season wasn't playing well. But Brianna Jones is coming back off an injury. She has been helping Connecticut, and she's been playing fairly well at times, but it's just that she's coming back off an injury, and Izzy is just playing phenomenally for me. So it's like, I just need to, she deserves to be on there in terms of that. So, that's how I see it. That's how I stand. I mean, I know it's probably an unpopular opinion, but that's the way I look at it. So, but what's your thoughts, Nick, in terms of the WNBA team?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, two rookies, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I don't think anyone has an issue with those two being on there, being that they are 1 and 2. They are neck and neck, flip flopping. Seems like every day, every week, every game for the Rookie of the Year. And again, I don't think Caitlin is going to care if she wins or doesn't win. I mean, if she wins, she'll care and everything like that. But if Angel goes out there and does win it, Caitlin will, clap for her and give her all the props as she has always done. But being on the All-Star game, on the All-Star team, she made a comment. There was I found a short of it, and she just said, she's never been Angel's teammate before, not even like whenever they played for in the USA for however they do it for basketball. But
Under
she said that,
AAU or under, I know what you mean.
Yep. So she said that like she doesn't want that to take away from what it means for everyone to be an all-star and all that. So yeah, I'm excited to see them be teammates more than anything, I think.
Now, in terms of the U.S. women's national team, you have Nafisia Collar from Minnesota, Kalia Copper from Phoenix, Chelsea Gray from the Aces, Brittany Griner from Phoenix, Sabrina Ionescu from New York, Jewel Lloyd from Seattle, Kelsey Blum from the Aces, Brianna Stewart from New York, Diana Taurasi from the Mercury, Alyssa Thomas from Connecticut, Aja Wilson, and Jackie Young are both from the Las Vegas Aces. So that's the national team. And if you see, some of it, what's going on, you have 4 Aces, you have 3 Mercury, you have 2 from the Liberty, and everyone else I think is 1. Yeah, Seattle, Minnesota,
Connecticut,
and Connecticut. Yes.
Yep.
Now you will see in this game, you'll see teammates playing each other. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. That's going to be fun. But the biggest storyline for me, which some people, I said it previously on one of my shows, and some people were surprised later when I said it. It's Alyssa Thomas and Dewana Bonner, both playing for the Connecticut Sun. But the thing that's interesting is they are engaged to each other. So they're fiancés. So it's like, you're going up against your fiancé in this type of an all-star game. So that's going to be intriguing in itself. Look, if you're coming down the lane, will one give the other a hard nudge, just little things like that. But, I'm not saying it's malicious, but overall. And then, of course, you have the Liberty going up against Jonquel Jones, and then Nafisa Collier going up against what's her name, Kayla McBride. So I mean, and NECA going up against Jewel Lloyd, those teams right there in terms of their teammates. So I find that very interesting, in terms of that overall. But what's your thoughts in reference to that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's going to be super, super interesting with the fiancés and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the dynamic of teammates going against teammates from either
Mm-hmm.
side, and then of course I'm gonna bring it back to Angel and Caitlin,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just them being teammates and see how they interact, and we can kind of really see how they are, being teammates, how they are, where it's like you can the All-Star game can still be like competitive and everything like that, but it's to have fun. um yeah, so I'm excited for all three of those kind of main stories and key points in how in the way that they're doing this year. And then just to see Caitlin in that first, Caitlin and Angel in that first All Star game together, being teammates, which I think is really cool. So that one I think excites me more just because I'm a big Caitlin Clark fan, and like this
No problem.
this is like my first year in, so like this draft class is kind of always going to have my eyes to it. But the women's team, the national team, seeing them do this like that, so is really cool.
Exactly. So, anything else that you find intriguing in reference to that roster?
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty fair roster. I mean, the vote total for this year has been insane. I saw a comparison to 2022, the top
Mm-hmm.
14 votes from 22 totaled 600,000, and Caitlin Clark got the most votes with 700,000 just for herself. So that just comes in with all the new fans that are coming in, and everything from that, that topic of discussion, everything like that. So um, I wish Kate Martin could have gotten gotten the nod for that. She was getting votes. I think she was up to the top 12 at one point, and she said that, like,
Mm-hmm.
she said she appreciates that, but did say that there's more deserving players than me. So it was just kind of cool to see her get that, some votes. Like I said, I've said it since like our first episode. She's becoming a fan favorite in Vegas and across the league. Um, so it would have been cool to see her also on there and be teammates with Caitlin again. But I know that will probably come down, in the years to come with their careers as we get into year 2, 3, and 4, and then so on and so on.
Just a quick update. Connecticut is up over Minnesota 10-2 in the first quarter. About 5:30 left in the first half. Minnesota just scored, so it's now 10-4. So just give you guys a little quick update of what's going on there in reference to the game for those who wanted to go. So now I wanted to talk to you. I don't think it's any dispute right now in terms of the MVP. It's Aja Wilson for
Yeah.
me. Um, do you think there's anyone else who has a chance, or who you honestly think could be in consideration, you know, um, in terms of the MVP overall, to be honest?
Yeah, Asia Wilson, definitely. Seems
Okay.
like every time there's anything on Twitter about the Aces, it's her. It's just, yeah, Asia Wilson definitely has my vote for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Now,
100%.
there are other challengers that they have are Nafisa Collier with Minnesota, which I do agree should be considered. Brianna Stewart, I mean, yes, I understand, but she's not playing up to where my expectations. But I mean, 19.7 points per game, 9.2 rebounds, 2.2 steals. I get it. And Alyssa Thomas, there's argument that she should have won it last year too. So, but hands down to me, it's the front runner is Aja Wilson. In reference to that, rookie of the year. I mean, it's always going to be up for debate. I'm going to be honest with you. It really is, because it's going to be Caitlin or Angel Reese right down to me, and they're 1A and 1B. It
Yeah.
just depends on, who you really are in love with, in a sense. And I like both of them. I like both of the games for different reasons. I love Angel's toughness, tenacity. She's actually with the right coach in terms of Teresa Weatherspoon. She's going to bring the best out of her, which we're seeing. And then Caitlin Clark, she's just too damn smart and too damn gifted. And, look, she's leading all rookies in scoring, 16 points a game, assists 7.1, three-pointers 2.7 per game,
Yep.
minutes played 34.4. She ranks second in steals at 1.3, fourth in rebounds at 5.7. I mean, those numbers, as they say, numbers never lie. They're not lying. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
you could say she's the front runner, and Angel's the one B. I don't think anyone else, in terms of rookies, are even close. So, I mean, but again, do you agree, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tough to go out here and say like, oh yeah, I don't think I can definitely 100% give it to Angel, just because Caitlyn. I don't want to be, oh, I'm just a Caitlyn fan, but I mean, I see it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Angel is playing great. The rebounds, the double doubles, and everyone was. I first I saw videos of her like just putting up shots, and then they were just not they were just missing, and that's how she was getting her rebounds. And then I saw the stat that was actually 16% of her rebounds are her from her shots. So it's like she's in there getting these rebounds while being teammates with Cardoso, who's also getting
Mm-hmm.
10 rebounds a game, whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, absolutely 1A, 1B, 1 and 2 flip flop, just like I said about the other New York and Minnesota. I mean, at this point, I would love to see Caitlin win it, and I know that if she doesn't win it, I know that it's probably going to be Angel Reese.
Mm-hmm.
And like my thing is from it is like, okay, if Caitlin doesn't win it, I'm probably going to be like react how Caitlin is going to react, unless it's like we come back from the All-Star break and Caitlin has a monstrous season in the second
Mm-hmm.
half and Angel keeps at the same. But it's like you got to compare all the numbers. You can't just say, well, Angel has blah 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 rebounds per game, has blah 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 double doubles. Caitlin now has 3 double doubles in a row, just the same. So I think you got to look at everything. They help their teams in different ways, but it's definitely going to come down to those two. I think definitely.
Another update right now. Connecticut is up 20-9 over Minnesota. 2:31 left in the first quarter. So, girl Diamond Miller is in now. So, next up, I want to talk a little bit of Coach of the Year. And for those of you who wonder when I'm getting this, I'm actually on ESPN, so you can always go to ESPN.com and you can see exactly what I'm looking at and what I'm talking about. Coach of the Year. Front runner is Cheryl Reeves from Minnesota, which I don't have an issue with that. Top challengers are Noel Quinn with Seattle, Sandy Bordello with New York. Um, to be honest with you, I don't have an issue with the challengers. If you told me Quinn was leading, especially after the record Seattle had last year, I'm fine with that. But Cheryl Reeves has done a great job, in terms of where she has Minnesota, you know, second, third, however you want to say, in terms of the overall league, Commissioner's Cup championship, doing this without Diamond Miller for the most part, who's just now coming back. I mean, and you're fitting in a young team with some veterans. Nafisa Collier, playing phenomenally on the year. So, I don't have an issue, with Reeves being as the front runner, and then Quinn, one of the top challengers. Sandy Brondello, I think honestly, if she wins a championship, then I probably could see her, winning it, especially in New York, because New York has never won. But the other two are well deserved of the award, and being in consideration. So, but what you agree? Do you have someone else who you think should be in consideration?
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree the points that you made. Definitely because I haven't really watched the three coaches like previously from this year, so I just see the games whenever I do get to watch or whenever they play the Fever. So yeah, I mean, I agree with those three names. Seattle, they're the teams that the coaches that are there, the teams are playing well. So I can definitely see it. I'm surprised that Vegas's coach isn't up there, given that back to back championships and then going into this year and struggling at some points, but still keeping them right up there at the top three,
Mm-hmm.
top five. So yeah, I it's interesting to see how you what you base it on. But yeah, I mean, I definitely can see the three that are 1, 2, and 3, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you can go down the list. And for me, I hope Christy Sides is right there at the bottom, because I mean, she just there's at the start of the season not having Caitlin where she normally plays, and then changing it randomly, and then not changing it since. But then, like I said, the final 3 minutes of a game against Chicago, and Caitlin barely gets the ball, like, and then come out and say, "Oh, Caitlin needs to take X amount of shots per game." Well, let's get her the ball then. Or her defending like the poor play and just the dumb decisions, and just everything about that. So I know that's a lot of how Indiana and the Fever fans are feeling, that Christy Sides might be the issue, that for the slow start they had, and then just not finding that chemistry. So, but we'll see
Mm-hmm.
how it plays out.
Okay, okay. Next up is Defensive Player of the Year. Front runner, they have Nafisia Collar from the Minnesota Lynx. I understand because she's on one of the top defensive team. Then you have Aja Wilson, Izzy Meglador, and Alyssa Thomas as top challengers. For me, it's Izzy. I'm sorry. I mean, I get Nafisia, Collier being on, the top defensive team and how she's playing this year. But when here's what they're saying in terms of Megbador, another cornerstone of a top defensive unit as well as premier rim protector. Megbador ranks number one in the league in opponent shooting percentage inside the restricted area at 48%, so minimum 50 attempts, according to Second Spectrum. That has helped her come away with 2.2 blocks per game, which ranks second in the league. I'm sorry, it's Izzy for me. I mean, she already got, you know, snubbed for the All Star. But when I look at this, when I look at these numbers, and I've watched her play, I've sat and watched her play. I've sat up nights watching her play, because I do like Seattle as a team. She just is phenomenal. So, Aja Wilson, yes. I mean, she's the two-time defended defensive player of the year. So I do understand, she's playing at an all-star level. She's second in the league in defensive rebounding, 8.7 per game, first in blocks at 2.6, tied for sixth in steals at 1.9. So I do understand her consideration. Thomas, is just always consistent, and she's versatile. She can guard anywhere from 2 to 5, so, I do understand, but it's Izzy for me, who's my number one. And then maybe I'll put, I'm probably going to go with Aja, then I go to Collier, and then come up with Thomas. But what's your thoughts in reference to the Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely again, you explained it perfectly, to have a different side of it, and it does make sense. Izzy snub from the All Star. I know that that's not like how they would look at it or anything like that, but just the way she's been playing, to go out there and be snubbed, and then from the All Star team, and then continue to play at such a high level, to maybe get a Defensive Player of the Year. Throw Aja Wilson in there with MVP. She can
Mm-hmm.
she could be any one of these awards in talks for that. So yeah, I mean, Aja Wilson would probably be mine, just because I know I've seen more of her in different ways. I know this is like strictly defense, so maybe it is Izzy. But yeah, I mean, Izzy or Aja would probably be my
Mm-hmm.
votes.
Next up is the sixth player of the year. The front runner is Kennedy Carter from Chicago. There's some people going to argue that she starts, but as they said, she's come off the bench more games than she started. She's come off the bench 12 games versus 6 starts. So sorry, that still qualifies her as a bench player. There's times where guys come off the bench and they start for their team for a little while before going back to the bench. So her energy, and the impact for this guy, has been undeniable. She's at 15.3 points per game. I mean, think about that, coming off the bench and bringing you 15 points per game. Now they talk about top challengers of Tiffany Hayes of the Aces and Temi Benley from Indiana. Can't say her name. But it did say she's missed 10 games due to injury. So, I guess that's why she's third. Right now to me, it is Kennedy based off of the numbers right now. I really don't have a deep dive, in terms of, other players in the league. I'm even trying to think on the Liberty and no, because what you call it hasn't been. She even started a little bit. No, she hasn't been consistent. Yeah, I'm fine with that with Kennedy. So, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a couple times here and there. I would Kate Martin would be my first thought, just
Hmm.
because again, she didn't expect to get drafted whenever she showed up to the draft. She was just there for Caitlin. And then immediately, whenever she gets drafted, everyone, oh, she won't make the team, blah blah blah, goes out there and makes the team. Doesn't get playing time for the first like 2 or 3 2 or 3 games, I think it was, and then started getting minutes, and then started making shots and started helping in different ways. And now, like, I think she started maybe a game or two, or maybe she hasn't quite yet gotten a start, or whatever it is. But I would definitely like to see her in the conversation. But Carter, I think the reason why I don't think Carter is because, like you said, she does start now, and she has started games. So I think of her as just, oh, that's just one of Chicago's, like, their big three with over in Chicago. So
Hmm.
I mean, I would say Kate Martin, but I'm Kate Martin fan more than anyone else. So
All right, just quick update. Minnesota's closing the gaps. 2017 now, 9-17 in the second quarter. Minnesota's putting on the clamps on Connecticut. So, and they just got a 24-second violation. Next, last one is most improved player, front runner Dejanay Carrington from Connecticut. I'm on board with her. She's averaging a career best 13.2 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.1 steals. Become as she's become a full-time starter. She's also an elite defender. Top challengers are Alana Smith from she was third last year behind Satu Sabli and Jordan Kennedy, Kennedy Carter with Chicago, and Maddie Segrist from Dallas, who was there before she suffered an injury. So, but for me, it's Carrington, man. You just see it in her play, how she plays. She's quick, fast, great defender, efficient scorer whenever she has the opportune time. So, and she's a great leader on this team. So for me, I agree with this fully. So
yeah, I mean, everything you said hit on, 100%. And just whenever I have seen games playing, Connecticut is playing in, that's what a lot of the announcers do say about her. So yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with her getting that one, definitely.
all right, and last thing that they're talking about here is the projected All NBA first team, WNBA, sorry, WNBA first team. Naficia Collier from the Lynx, Sabrina from the Liberty, Brianna Stewart from the Liberty, Alyssa Thomas from Connecticut, and Aja Wilson from Vegas. That kind of surprised me, to Liberty. They've been for me. They've been very inconsistent. I'm sorry. If you want to give one, I can understand, but both of them, I don't know. It's hard for me to put them both on there right now. Maybe I'm just being hard on New York. New York is one of the best teams in the league. I get it, but Neficia, I agree with. Alyssa Thomas, I agree with. Aja Wilson, I agree with. But what about Jewel Lloyd from Seattle? You know, again, tops dominant player. You know, consistently leading the team. I mean, you know, I don't know. It's just hard for me right now to put both Liberty player on the first team. Now, if you put one on the second team, I'm fine with that. But both of them, I don't know. You know, again, maybe with New York, I'm just being extremely hard because my expectations are much higher, and there are times that their play has been very inconsistent. There are times the games have been inconsistent when I'm expecting more out of them. You know, so like I said, maybe I'm just being extremely hard, but but again, as I always say, if you pull one off or you put one on, who are you taking off or who are you putting on to replace? So, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, trying to sit here and really look at the full spectrum of the league. So, but what's your thoughts in terms of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've never, I mean, like I said, I have never really watched, NBA or the WNBA like in depth to see how they do like their first teams. I know like the NFL can do it like weirdly. But yeah, I mean that it surprised me that like two players from the same team, given that it's New York being at one or two, it it doesn't it surprised me, but then I was like, okay, well, I can see it. But I mean, like you said, you are a Liberty fan, so you are watching them closer than what I'm watching, so I can see it that you would that it was surprising to you that both of them are on there. So I mean, just kind of, I'm going to see how it
Yeah,
plays
look,
out.
I'm even looking at the I'm even looking at the stats right now.
Yeah.
Enrique from Dallas, 23 points, 23.8 points per game. Her field goal percentage is 36.7. Okay. 4.3 rebounds, 2.8 steals per game. I mean, you can make an argument for it. Like I said, Jewel Lloyd, 20.2 points per game. She's shooting 37% overall from the floor. She's with 89% from the free throw line, 5.3 rebounds. Again, it's hard for me to sit here. De'Arica Hamby, 18.3 points. I mean, I get it. I understand. Maybe they're looking at record also, including that in there. But it's still early, and this is only at the midpoint, so I'll wait and
Yeah.
see. So good shot.
Yeah.
So but again, we'll see. So,
Yeah.
but that's all that I have. You have anything else that you want to add to tonight's show?
Nope, nope. I think we covered a good vast of topics and different things that are coming up with the Olympics, the All Star break. Um, I know we did like a little mix of like team time sprinkled throughout like the show.
Mm-hmm.
Zoning in on your team, my team, and then the other news, which was like a good the mid season grades along with like team overall, and then the different awards at the midway point. So I think we hit everything that we needed to, and then more. So yeah, I mean, I'm good to wrap this one up.
All right, what you got going on for the rest of the week before next week's show?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, tomorrow SmackDown and the post bell show is what we're calling it, and then Money in the Bank Saturday. I got NXT Heatwave on Sunday, and then Dynamite on Wednesday, NXT on Tuesday, Dynamite on Wednesday, and then our show next Thursday, and then same thing all over again. So, how about you? What
Mm-hmm.
do you got? What do you got going on in the future?
Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I got another episode of Coach Ed Gladney's Read and Attack Sports Show. I actually do it at Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, Mondays and Wednesdays at 7, and Fridays at 6 p.m. So that's what I have tomorrow. On Saturday, with the halftime coaching adjustment show with Philly Halftime, two old farts sitting down talking about sports, life. It's not just sports. We talk about everything. We're two older guys, but we bring you our perspective on everything, whether it's life, love, technology, you name it. We're going to talk about it. And then, like I said, and then Tuesday, I have Heart of the City with my brother from another NYG also known as Unpopular Opinion Sports, where we talk about sports in the New York spectrum, but we also broaden it out a little bit more. And then Wednesdays, I'm with the Pick and Roll podcast, where we main focus is NBA, but we talk a little bit more. So, and that's pretty much it. So that's what I got going on, for the next week. So.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, everyone, check into all those, like we said. Give a follow, give a like, give a share, all that good stuff. I'm Nick Weitoish of Sleeper Sports Media, Coach Ed, Hardcore Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Full Court Press Podcast. We will see you next week.